Hello, this is Call In Convos. I am Isioma. This is a background sound while you're going about your day, doing chores, working out, catching a break at work, and everything in between. I'm here with honest conversations, those things you've been thinking but feel shy to talk about sometimes. The messy, the beautiful, love, life, laughter, relationship with yourself, relationship with others, healing, and more laughter. After all, healing without fun and joy is just unnecessary hard work. So just stay tuned. Hello, and you're welcome to the second part of the Boundaries series. And this is Calling Convos with Isioma. And yeah, the previous episode we talked about, that was like the beginning, just setting the tone, saying that boundaries should not be ultimatums. The boundaries are the things, are your own standard, the rules that you give yourself, and you don't make it about the other person, because at the end of the day it's really about you. Yeah. And like I always say, you are the common denominator of your life. You are the president of your government, so act like it. Act like it, okay? And so on this second part, so it's more or less like looking at that bodily response, that somatic response to the times that we have set boundaries. Then we get to talk about the context of boundaries, contextualizing boundaries. And one of the examples, because I just drafted this down. So one of the examples is how individualistic societies versus collectivist societies, how they see boundaries. Yeah. So let's say your parents are your parents are collectivist. Yeah. We have the collectivist values, what belongs to A belongs to B and all that. And then you have exposed yourself to Western media, Western thoughts that are individualistic. So there might be some friction in the way in your relationship with your parents, or your siblings, or family members who are still holding on to those collectivist ideas that you have divested yourself of. You get my point. Yeah. So the fact that you no longer subscribe to those ideas doesn't mean that they do not subscribe to those ideas. So there's that. And then there's, like I said, I was talking about guilt, that feeling of guilt, that feeling, when you say no to someone, you feel, how will I put it? I would still, most of the times when people talk about boundaries, it's like platonic spaces and romantic spaces, even maybe sometimes professional. But I don't really think we pay much importance. We have talked much about familial relationships. I don't really think so. So another example is, let's say a parent that has walked through the fire for you, and then you might feel guilty when you have to tell them no, when you feel that they are taking too much. So there is a lot. And towards the end, I think I'm just going to, I would establish the fact that the context matters. Just don't take any advice you see. Don't listen to don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you see. When it comes to boundaries, look at the context of your life and see how it will work, because at the end of the day, the person who is giving you that advice is talking based on the limitations of their reality, their perception of how they have talked with other people, of how boundaries have manifested in their own lives. They don't know your context. I don't know your context. So be intentional, be strategic when when it comes to you enforcing, boundaries and all that. So let's dive on in. I talked about, that thing where there is guilt when you affirm your boundaries. Yeah. So now let's say you have checked your intentions, you know your boundary is healthy, and just to add it here, you have different boundary styles, the held boundaries, the rigid boundaries, and the porous boundaries. Yeah. So held boundaries, like, is really balanced and all that. It's not boundary versus ultimatum. It's a boundary is a boundary. It's all about you. It's a set of rules that you give yourself, that's healthy. Then porous, I don't have to explain that one. It's self-explicit. Then rigid, the kind of boundary that makes you like a fortress, like you almost to the point of hemming yourself in, and you become a prisoner, your own jailer, So there are those styles, yeah. So let's say now your boundary is healthy. You've ascertained it's not an ultimatum, and it's all about protecting your peace genuinely. Thank you. Genuinely protecting your peace. Genuinely, that's word, operative word there. So you say the word, you tell your in-law, your mother-in-law. Oh my god. Or okay, like your supervisor at work, or your sibling, and that she can't just do certain things. Or let's use your mother-in-law. I'm not really fine mother-in-laws now, okay? I'm not, but so let's say you tell your mother-in-law that, oh, she can't just drop by unannounced, or okay, or let's say you tell your friend that you can't help them with their moving plans. So what happens next? You feel guilty. In the case of a friend that, hey, God, this is my friend that has been there for me since the beginning of time. Now I have to let her down. I have to let him down. I have to let them down. Oh my days. That is how you feel. But the internet will not tell you this. They don't tell you this. They don't tell you this part. What you see on social media is that as soon as you have said what you have said, you feel empowered. You feel like a bad bitch. You feel cunty in it. No, that is not always the case. I think the word, that's it, boundary hangover. Yeah. You feel that guilt. Sometimes you even feel that wave of nausea course through you. Yeah, that's the tea. So I just wanted, just in case you've been there. I mean, we've been there, but you see that feeling. Yeah, feeling guilty does not mean you did anything wrong. Okay, you didn't do anything wrong. I know you feel, if you've been there, you didn't do anything wrong. So most of us have been conditioned from childhood to believe that, being a good person means being compliant, convenient, and always available. You feel me? You feel me? Exactly. So when you suddenly stop, it means you're a good person. The fact that you feel guilty, you're actually a good person. So when you suddenly stop being convenient, when you stop being compliant, your brain will panic. Like it literally triggers this survival response. Your nervous system, mistakes how do I put it, social discomfort for physical danger. Like I said earlier, we are social creatures, but then there will be outliers. There are outliers. That feeling of guilt is logical. Yeah. And then comes the pushback. Yeah. So in psychology, so there's this thing, we call the extinction bust. Yeah. So when you change the rules of a relationship, yeah, the other person doesn't really will not actually just say, oh, thank you for clarifying your needs. No, no, no. Instead, they do they do this thing called like they test the lock, yeah. So they push back. There's that negotiation, yeah, like in the real sense, or like usually, yeah. So there's that pushback, there's that friction, you know, and then they want to see if you really mean it. It's just like when you tell someone that, oh, I don't like that joke. They will push back. God, people are so wicked in this world. Yeah, because I've had that. I've been there. Like I tell a person, I don't like this joke you're making, and then they feel they should repeat that joke. Like, and then I'll ask the person, why do you think this joke is funny? Let's start from there. Why do you think this joke is funny? If you know it's making me uncomfortable, why do you feel the urge to repeat this joke? Don't you feel you're being disrespectful right now? And I just want to say this, when a person makes a joke you don't like, ask them why they feel like they need to make that joke when they know that it's making you uncomfortable. And don't let anyone gaslight you with, oh, you don't know how to take a joke. It is not a joke if I am not laughing, except I am laughing. If I am laughing, then it is a joke. If I am not laughing, it is not a joke. And you have failed as a comedian. Thank you very much. You have failed as a comedian. Yeah. So we should, I don't want to say normalize, but we should normalize calling people out on the jokes that they make. Don't, no, no, don't. Don't make a joke at my expense. I do not accept that. It's okay for you to tell people that you don't accept a joke. Yeah? Because people say the vilest things under the guise of, oh, it's just a joke. No, it's not just a joke. Like, you mean it. And that thing I do tell people, a joke loses its humor value when it's being repeated again and again. And when a person is pushing back on your boundaries, trying to negotiate with you, yeah, so that you have that, there's this temptation to fold, you know, like you just want to like go back on what you have said. And you think it's easier that way if you just give in. And then you cave. The thing is that you're not keeping the peace. You're just trading your internal peace, you're trading your peace of mind for temporary external comfort. And when you do that, you're teaching them exactly how hard they need to push next time, you know, in order for them to break you. So navigating the boundary hangover means standing in the line of fire. Okay, let me get it. So it's like it's being there in that awkwardness. Yeah. It means accepting that some people in your life only liked you because you had no boundaries. It's very painful. It is painful. It's painful when you realize that XYZ was only in your life because you had no boundaries. It's sad. It's one of the saddest things in life. Like, this person did not even like you. I am laughing about it now because I've been there before. And this person didn't like you because your boundaries were porous, because they had access to you. That is why they stayed in your life, not because of your sparkling personality. No. It's sad actually. And I don't think we talk about that grief enough. And when you realize that this person was only there because of the fact that you couldn't say no, because you were compliant, because you were cooperative, because you were easily used, and now you have to do the needful and you have to let them go. There is that grief, you know. We really don't talk about it. And it's a lot. Honestly, it's a lot. Honestly, it is. So when you start drawing lines, the people who benefited from your lack of limits are going to be the ones who get pissed. They're going to get peeved. They're going to get pissed, pained, pressed. Doesn't mean you did anything bad. The anger or their hurt or their disappointment or whatever I face that they're feeling is not your business. Yeah? That anger, that's whatever they're feeling, is the proof that that boundary was absolutely necessary. I need you to sit with that. Sit with it. The thing is this, there are weird people in life. People just, okay, so there's this, is it Chinese? I can't remember how Japanese proverb, yeah, that says a tree that grows straight is easily cut to make firewood. However, a tree that grows crooked, no one touches it. Moral lesson, be useless to people. Be be useless to people. Be useless to them. Don't let them use you. Don't let them use you for any reason. So now it's important that we redefine boundaries. Yeah. So they are not walls to keep other people out. It's think of how I put it. Think of them as gates. You understand? And when I say gate, it's more or less like how will I put it? You're not building a fortress to isolate yourself. And like I said on the previous podcast, you're curating your life, not isolating yourself. You are not building a fortress to isolate yourself. You are drawing a map so that people will know how to love you without draining you. You are drawing a map so that you will know how to love people without draining yourself. That is how you look at it. Yeah? You're protecting yourself. You're protecting your energy with your boundaries. You're not shutting people out. The feeling of of empowerment is not only it doesn't always come, but it's something, there's that thing when you have to choose yourself. And choosing yourself is a radical act of self-love in a society that has taught you to put your needs at the back burner. So that is why you feel the guilt you feel and all that. Yeah. Then it's also important that we know that our boundaries should be healthy. We need flexible boundaries. We should be sure that our boundaries are not trauma based, but are actually healthy boundaries. Yeah, just don't be rigid when you're having boundaries. And remember, it's all about you. It's not about the person, so that you are not crossing the thin line between boundary and ultimatum. Yeah. And then there are contextual boundaries. Now, in certain societies that are collectivist, and one of my favorite things is looking at cultural dimensions. I think Hofstede, yeah, this Hofstede theory. So you have different dimensions and all that. So some cultures are collectivist and some are individualistic. Now if you live in a collectivist culture, the way you process boundaries is different from the way someone who lives in an individualistic culture will process boundaries. Yeah. So look at your context before internalizing any advice on boundaries that you see on the internet. You have to look at your own life. You have to look at your own life. So if you live in a tight knit, tight knit household, physical boundaries might just go out the window. Yes, it's what it is. It's what it is. It's easier. I'll tell you this. It's easier to have your boundary when you live in a big house and you have your room en suite, yeah, than someone who is living with um four other family members in a two bedroom apartment. It's a shared bathroom. You feel me? So understand the context. Also, there are people in this life who you will have to, what's the word now? You have to relax your boundaries for. You have to waver your boundaries for. Yeah, mother and child. That is one classic example. Mother and child. Another example is professional spaces. You need that paycheck, boo. You need that paycheck. There's sometimes you will let them disrespect your boundaries. Yeah, there's sometimes it will happen. I'll give you an example of my own experience. So, once upon a time in a very, very far, far away land, once upon a time, the co-workers, everyone couldn't pronounce my name. Isioma. But I didn't correct it. Yes, I didn't. And when I felt, and okay, I don't want to go into that. And when it was time for me to leave, I didn't look back. And I made sure that I had enough financial wherewithal to leave because there were other things that were disrespectful there. Honestly, and like I said, I don't want to delve into that. There were other things I found really disrespectful. And when it was time for me to pack my load and go, I did because I had enough savings to pull that stunt. So boundaries are not, there has there should be context when it comes to boundaries. Allowing the rules to bend for loved ones in temporary crisis is very, very important. Yeah. And just to say again, just to remind you that someone's anger at your boundaries, your healthy boundary, not ultimatum, someone's anger at your healthy boundary is proof that the boundary was very, very much needed. Like you needed to have that boundary. Yeah. So in summary, it's not easy. It's not easy affirming a boundary. It's not always easy, but you have to do it because at the end of the day, you need to choose yourself. I think this might be the next topic, choosing oneself. And I'll just tell you this little story. So once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was this wonderful man that I do love. I mean, I love him. He's my friend. I mean, if I don't love you, why are you my friend? So, and I'm used to people calling me, like giving me heads up before they call me because I don't know. I've noticed that there's no way I'm talking to a person and the conversation is less than 10 minutes. And I like to give my full attention to anyone I am engaging with or anything I am doing. Like that I'm here. Like presence. Yeah, I love to be present in any conversation or anything actually. And then he was like, he feels like he's booking a call. I'm like, okay. And then he said that he's not going to talk with you for a while. Or just because I was like, you just have to let me know. And then he didn't talk to me and I didn't talk to him. And then later he reached out to me and he was like, and I was like, I'm not, and I told you, I am not going to I'm not going to apologize for having my boundaries because the reason I told him that, normally I don't even tell people. The reason I told him that is that my phone is always on silent and I can see my phone ring. The phone will ring. I will see it ringing. I'll see the call coming in. But because I'm not expecting that call, or I'm not in the headspace, like I am not in that mood to engage in a conversation with anybody, and there's nothing you can do. I cannot have that conversation. I am not equipped to have a conversation. Probably I am working on something, I'm doing something that's taking my time, or I know that I can't show up in that call. I will not pick that call. The call will ring, the call will go away, and that's it. But there are people in this life who will call me without heads up and I will answer. You get? So that's that thing with, context. I mean, my sister can call me at 2 a.m. I will pick that call. Even if she didn't give me heads up that she was calling, I will answer, you know? So it's being intentional about those relationships, being strategic about your boundaries. You know, I think there's this thing, tempering logic and feelings when we are, having our boundaries. And we also remember that curation, not isolation. We desire to curate our lives, not have boundaries to the point that we are isolating ourselves. And the context of our boundaries matter. You know, don't take every advice on boundaries that you see, wherever. See if it's actually, if it's tenable in your own context. And like I give you an example professionally, how uh, you get my point, yeah. There will be that supervisor that is annoying, but what do you do? Your source of livelihood, this is it. What do you do? Yeah. So when you're sure that you can really leave that, workplace, I didn't even say toxic. Yeah. Let's say it's unhealthy. Unhealthy, toxic are two different things, in my opinion. Yeah. Because so will be like, oh, just leave. No, there's a relationship you just can't leave. You have to be strategic. You have to think. You have to plan. You have to understand the context, before, making certain decisions and all that. Yeah. So now the question is this: Do you have you found yourself weaponizing boundaries? Yeah. Do you think you in the past you might have weaponized boundaries, under the guise of I'm protecting my peace, I'm protecting my space, I'm choosing myself. Yeah. And thank you so much for listening. And if you would like to, talk some more, if you would want to talk about boundaries, how you're navigating it in your own life by your own self, you can always reach out to us. The first 20-minute call is on us. It's free. Yeah. And if it happens that we are a good match, then, we can go from there. We can, and all that. Yeah. So the link is down in the description. Book your free call. I'm signing up now. Oh God, why do I always? Oh, okay, I remember on the last episode I went off on a tangent, and I'm not going to do that. I won't do that. So this is me wishing you a peaceful rest of your day, or if you're listening at night, I'm wishing you a very peaceful rest of your night. Stay peaceful, stay serene, stay beautiful inside and outside, stay gorgeous, and you enjoy the rest of your time, yeah? And ciao for now.